Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine. Thank you so much for joining me on the stream. Today begins the first of actually 9 new live stream series. Well, today and for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be covering largely workflows around motion graphics templates. And we're going to start in After Effects, and I'm going to show you some of the real basic things you need to do to create motion graphics templates, and of course, create them for your editors. Let's go ahead and get started. And, we're just going to start working in After Effects here and building up some very basic text animations, logo animations. And towards the end, we'll cover, actually, may even cover it a little bit at the beginning here, a little bit around expressions and some basic things. The idea here is that motion graphics templates, when people think about that, and probably from some of the things you've seen, these are more than just sort of, yes, they're animated graphics. It can be lower thirds. It can be a title sequence. It could be backgrounds. It could be any number of things that you build in After Effects. But one of the sort of essential and key elements of creating the template, which, by the way, we also refer to them internally, certainly you can do the same. That's actually the file extension, as MOGRT, M-O-G-R-T. They can contain really anything. So whether it's, you think of motion graphics as, again, like a lower third or some kind of title sequence or something like that, or text sequence. It could also be something as simple as your logo, your company's brand logo, colors, and some kind of badge that you want on every video that your editors produce, whether it's, internal content or social content or external content for Vimeo or YouTube. These things can all be created as MOGRTs, saved out as MOGRTs, motion graphics templates, and then saved to a shared CC library so that anyone who's working with you, instantly has access to those elements. So here we are in After Effects, and by the way, it's also worth pointing out that all of the stuff that I'm doing today, I'm using the latest updates of CC 2018. So this is After Effects CC 2018, PremierePro CC 2018. I'm going to start by just grabbing this logo that a friend of mine made for me for the show that I was working on a year ago called Jace's Places. Now, again, the idea here is that I'm an After Effects, or you, whomever, you're an After Effects motion designer. And your editors need to brand every video that they create for social, whether it's, again, a logo bug, something like that. Maybe it's not meant to be edited. It's just a motion graphic that they can quickly access and pull from the library. Not unlike the way people are using libraries today for Photoshop and Illustrator, again, dragging in sort of static graphics. No reason you can't make a motion graphic and drop it in there. It doesn't even have to be, again, editable. It just has to be available, and they can do that quickly through shared CC libraries. So we're going to start by making a comp here, and I'll call this JP logo. All right, we'll do it at 24 frames, 1920, 1080. Okay, blank canvas here. And I'm going to take this ping and drop it into my comp. All right, and let's go ahead and take this, and actually I'm going to turn on my title safe, action safe, and drag this down here. A couple things we might want to do with this. Well, first of all, maybe we kind of want this to rotate in sort of a 3D, sort of faux 2.5D space just along the horizontal axis or the y-axis. So to do something very simple like that, I'm simply going to enable 3D here. I'm going to twirl this down, and we'll twirl down transforms, and we're going to focus for the moment here on Y rotation. Now again, we're going to make, the idea here is we're building a little motion graphics template that I'm going to give to my editors because every social video needs to contain this logo, and we want it to also be rotating, all right, as an example. So let's go ahead and set a keyframe on this, and then we'll move up about half a second, and we'll have it do a full rotation, and then we'll move up about 2.5 seconds, and let's have it do like 10, okay? Something like that, okay? Nothing fancy, real simple, all right? And we want that to happen over and over again. Now, I talked about having things editable or not editable. Maybe we want to be able to, we want the editor to be able to adjust opacity for the logo. That might be an element that could be sort of useful in their editing workflow. So I'm going to simply, again, select my logo layer here. I'm going to type T for opacity, and maybe we'll just set this just for the moment at a default of like 50% to allow whatever video they overlay this over top of to kind of bleed through, okay? All right, UU to see all my properties. Now, I'm going to get into expressions a little bit later, but there's a couple really simple expressions that you can use. Expressions, by the way, for people unfamiliar, they're basically code. It's code that is sort of, I don't know that it's rooted in JavaScript. I've been told it's JavaScript-like. I'm not a coder, and I don't know a lot of expressions. I know a few. I'm going to give you some references to do more. People get a little excitable when we talk about expressions. They can be difficult, but actually to apply them is very simple. And the idea here is that you can use an expression to basically perform a series of animation operations very, very simply. And in many cases, automatically, without even keyframing things necessarily. Now, in this case, I want this to rotate once kind of slowly and then 10 times very fast. By the way, if we want to make this look a little more dramatic, we could add something like a motion blur. So you see I just enabled motion blur for the comp and for the layer right here. You know, play this back again, and now you get some of that nice, beautiful motion blur. But I really want this to kind of loop over and over again. So I'm going to add a looping expression, okay, known as LoopOut. This is very simple. Again, you can find info all about this on YouTube if you just search there. How do we add the expression? We can hold down the Alt or Option key, Option on the Mac here, and what I want to use the expression for is this rotation property. So I'm going to hold down Option, click on the stopwatch here, and you see that it opens up our little expression editor. So I'm going to delete what's in there, and I'm simply going to type LoopOut, parentheses, quotations, cycle, quotations, parentheses, and then semicolon, code. All right, not a coder. And now when you do this, what this does, as you see, it's going to do this looping cycle. It will loop this indefinitely, which is perfect for an editor to sort of drag this thing into a motion graphics template and use it over top of their video. So now when I play this back, you'll see that this is just going to keep on looping just like that, all from that very simple expression, okay? So now we've basically made a motion graphic that I can hand over to my editor that they can apply to every video, and they don't have to do anything. It's ready to go. It's very, very simply done, all right? So how do we do that? Well, all of your motion graphics templates are built, or authored rather, from within something called the Essential Graphics panel. Now, you will have a workspace for Essential Graphics. You can see it up at the top there. I've modified mine just a little for streaming purposes, but this is in fact the same thing. By the way, these could always be reset to their saved layouts. I'm just going to do that right here for the moment. Okay, that looks fine. Okay, so what we want to do is build a motion graphics template from this rotating logo animation. All right, very, very simple, using this very simple loop out expression. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to choose which comp we want to build the motion graphics template from. So here's all the comps I have open. Here's the one that we're currently working in, JP logo. This is what we want, okay? Now we're going to give it a name, and I'll call it use this logo. Okay, that'll be the name of the motion graphics template. That's how it will appear in the shared CC library or CC libraries, or even if you saved it directly to the Essential Graphics panel inside of Premiere and After Effects. It's going to be titled use this logo, all right? So we've got that. That's good. This is the one we want, JP logo. Okay, let's back out here. Now, one of the things we can do is we can set a poster frame. Oh, did I start on caps lock? Sorry about that. We're going to set a poster frame. All right, so we can set that there. Again, not a lot going on in this. That's fine. But now we need to know, all right, what do I want to do with this? Now, again, I don't necessarily want to make this editable. We did talk about possibly allowing the editor to modify opacity. But the way that you build an Essential Graphics motion graphics template is first by just seeing what properties maybe you can make editable for the editor, all right? And we're going to do that with this button here called Solo Supported Properties. So when we choose Solo Supported Properties, this is now going to allow us to drag and drop certain elements of this animation into the Essential Graphics panel. Now, that expression at the moment, this is not editable. I'm going to show you how we can build a slider later to do some edits on expression-based animation. For this, really the only thing that I want editable is the opacity, right? Just to allow them to maybe adjust that opacity on the video. So all I have to do here is simply take opacity and drag it into the Essential Graphics panel. And you'll see that I can actually control it from here. This is just an arbitrary value right now. We'll leave it at 50%. And we'll just call this logo opacity. All right. One editable field for the editor. And then we can add a comment. And the comment can be, this is the logo, whoops. This is the logo animation for all videos. No edits. All right. That's it. At this point, we're done. This is all we have to do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly save this. I'll call this 01-C. It's going to make you save the project that you're working in After Effects before you create the motion graphics template. We're then going to go down to this button here, Export Motion Graphics Template. Click on this, and now we just need to tell it where to go. Now, again, you have the ability to save this to the Essential Graphics panels in Premiere and After Effects. Now, to be honest, I don't know why you would necessarily save it locally, because part of the whole mantra of Creative Cloud is like, I log into your system. I'm working with my friends Bronwyn and Megan, and I'm on their machine, and I need to grab something. So I log in. Now I have access to all my stuff. If I save it to the Essential Graphics panel locally on my machine in my studio at home, I can't access these things later. So it's just there because sometimes you want to save things locally, I suppose. This is also why you have the ability to save it to a local drive, because you can create .MOGRT files and share them, without a library, share them via Dropbox, share them via CC storage, whatever. This is why we allow you those options. For this, though, again, I'm working with people. I want them to be able to access these templates right away. So here I have all of my various libraries and share. You can actually see I've got one here with my friend Maxim and with Bronwyn. So I'm just going to save it to Jason's library. All right, it's going to take the name that we used up in Essential Graphics here. Click OK. Let's bounce over to PremierePro. All right, so here's an edit that I've talked about before. This commercial for my friends Adventure Camp. Here we are inside of my CC libraries, and just like that, you see the title just came in. There it is. Use this logo. Created in After Effects, 12 kilobytes. So here's the thing we just made. So now, if I'm the editor, I'm your editor, and you're like, okay, dude, I just made the logo with the rotation and the motion blur and the animation. Great. Go ahead and use this. I can take this. I can drag it down into PremierePro. Just like that. It takes a second. Wind it back. Hit play. And boom. And there it is. Beautifully spinning. A little bit of motion blur. Looks awesome. And again, I can extend, drag in another, just duplicate this, keep on keeping on there. By the way, you'll notice that it's red, but the performance is real-time and awesome. That's because in CC 2018, we now actually have After Effects Engine to play these back. Previously, you needed to have After Effects installed always to use any After Effects generated motion graphics template. Now you do not. There are some exceptions to that, those that use C4D, Cinema 4D. But in any case, you will find in the latest update that the performance is significantly faster. And this is, holy cannolis, right? This is like full awesome real time. Now I'm in half res here too, but it just works. Now let's talk about, again, what do we have? What can we do with this? Well, when I select the motion graphics template and go up to the Essential Graphics panel in Premiere, as I told you, we only gave the editor one editable field, logo opacity. And you'll see here, let me just get to with all the motion blur, it's hard to see. So again, almost no opacity, 100% opacity, right? So this can be edited very simply so they can kind of customize how this appears in every video that it's on. And you see there's our comment. This is the logo animation for all videos. No edits. Simple, right? So think about that. You're creating a brand. You're creating a particular look. You have your colors. You have your logo. You have your specific type of animation or wiggle or rotation, or maybe it's, again, some kind of 3D modeled icon or something or object, whatever. You can make that in After Effects. You can create and make it in a motion graphics template. We didn't even have to add the logo opacity option here. We just gave the editor that flexibility. We didn't have to give them anything. We could just give them the logo at 50% opacity because that's how we want it. All right. So at the very, very basic level, you can use motion graphics templates to allow your editors and people you collaborate with to always have your branded look. And it'll always be right because you built it. So now let's go back and let's talk a little bit about sort of text animations and how we can do some basic text sort of motion graphics templates. So now let's see, I've got one here. Yeah, make some text. Let's go ahead and start a new one. So once again, I'll just do a new composition. I'm gonna call this text and text. That's fine. Doesn't have to spell it correctly. I'll make this 10 seconds. You know, you can choose whatever you want. Click OK on this. Now, again, you can animate text in PremierePro. The reality is it's really simple to do it in After Effects, and we're going to start actually with some animation presets. Now, I've shown this in some previous streams. These particular animation presets have been in After Effects, I don't even know how many years, a long, long time. They're contained in the Effects and Presets panel up here. And if we twirl this down, you'll see that we have all different kinds of animation presets, backgrounds and behaviors and shapes and synthetics. Some of these dated, okay? They've been in there a long time. Some of them I think are even in like DV resolutions, so probably need to up a couple of those. We're not going to use most of these. The ones, though, that I like to kind of emphasize as at least as a way to kind of get started to understand how animation works in After Effects. Now, again, this is not an AE 101 on how to animate. There's a million tutorials, including CC Learn, where we show you how to do that. But if you look at how these text animations are conceived, how they're built, how they're authored, it allows you the ability to create your own and customize even more and just make better ones, right? So I'm going to choose my text tool. All right, and we'll come over here and I said make some text before, so we're using Filson Soft. I think this is a typekit font, bold. So let's do a line of make. All right. And then we'll do another, in fact, here we're going to scale this up too. This a little bit bigger. Maybe around 140. And then we'll do another line. Make some, and then we'll do another line here. Noise. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'll typically do, and I said this on stage at Max, and I will always say it because it's true, you know, I'm not a motion graphics designer, as evidenced right now. By the way, I'm using the alignment tool here to just align everything sort of to the left justified edge there. Align is awesome. Again, if we wanted to say, take this word make and fly it on, say from off screen onto screen, we could do something like a position keyframe. And by the way, when you're selecting any layer in After Effects' comp panel here, and you want to animate all of the basic properties, and by the basic ones, I mean position, anchor point, rotation, opacity, and scale, you can remember those and you can access those by remembering the simple acronym taught to me by the one and only Angie Taylor, one of our goddesses of After Effects, PARTS, P-A-R-T-S. So if you select make and you hit P, that pulls up the position property. A pulls up anchor point. R pulls up rotation. T pulls up opacity. And S pulls up scale, okay? So I want to animate position. So I want make to be there at around 15 frames. So I'm going to set a keyframe there. I'll wind back, and then let's go ahead and drag this off screen, something like that. All right, and fly it on like that, okay? And if we want to add a little bit of ease, a little temporal interpolation, I can right-click on my keyframe here. Let's have it ease in so it kind of slides and parks nicely, okay? It's pretty fast, all right? But you get the idea. That ease in just gives it a little bit more of an organic feel, okay? So we've got that going on. Now for the word some, again, maybe some flies in from the bottom and it starts to fly in right about there. So we want some to be, again, we'll do a little position keyframing here. That's its final position, but we'll have it start to fly in about here. And for this one, maybe it flies in from the bottom. Okay, and we'll do a little ease on this as well. So wind it back, make some, all right, and then you can guess where I'm going with this. Noise, same thing. And maybe noise is just opacity. So we'll do a T, set opacity there, wind it back, drop it down like that, okay? Okay, very simple, very easy. Now, again, this is just kind of to showcase to you very simple, very basic animation, and then turning that into a motion graphics template, okay? We're going to get to more complex things later. This is just now working with text to show you some of the basic things we can do. What are some other elements that we might want to make editable? Well, something like the fill color. So for each of these, you can see I'm going to twirl down here, and I'm going to add under Animate, Fill Color RGB, which is going to give us access. Oops, hold on, sorry. It's going to give us access to modifying that fill color right there. I'll twirl this up for a second. RGB, okay. Just got all those in there. Okay, for the moment they're all red. We can change these back to something else. Actually, that red is probably not broadcasting very well. Let's go ahead and just make those kind of pinkish. All right, salmon colored. These will all be editable in the end anyway. I'm just modifying this for the stream because I know you're getting that weird glitchiness right now. Sorry. That's a Wirecast and OBS thing. Okay. So now we've got our 3-color text. And as a non-designer, I think that looks great. By the way, that's about as good as I can get in terms of complementary colors. Okay. So how do we make this into a template? Okay, we want to use this make some noise. And maybe we'd have something else going on here. It doesn't matter, just showing you the basics here. Once again, we'll come up to Essential Graphics. Let's go ahead and save this. Which one do we want? This one is called Text Amine 2. All right, let's go ahead and set a poster frame. And let's give this a name. We'll call this MSN for Make Some Noise 01. Solo supported properties. So what is it that is editable? Aha, well now you can see. So what do we want to make editable? Well, obviously we want the source text to be editable. So you'll see I'm going to scroll down to make. I'm going to grab source text, and I'm going to drag that up into Essential Graphics. And you can rename these first line text. Okay, and you don't have to edit the text here. This will be editable to the editor. And while we're here, we also want that fill color. Fill color, first line text to be editable. Okay? Real simple. Scroll back up here. Some source text. Second line text. Fill color. I didn't grab it, sorry. Fill color. Let's come up to the third one here. Do the same thing. Third line text. Fill color. Okay? And now we can set a comment. And we can say the next properties relate to position or opacity. Okay? And again, if we wanted to make opacity or position or any of those things editable, we have the ability to do that by dragging these things in, okay? So there's opacity, and we could say this is third line opacity, and, you know, again, we could pick some other property here if we wanted to make that editable as well. You get the idea. We've got the colors, we've got the text, we have the opacity. Let's export this as a motion graphics template. It'll save the project. Let's save it to our library. Click OK. Good to go. Back over to PremierePro. Let's go into our libraries panel. Look at that. It's already synced right there. Obviously, how quickly it syncs is dependent on your ISP. But when we're just talking text, when we're just talking really basic motion graphics templates, and again, we're going to cover on the third installment of this in 2 weeks, really more advanced ones that use Cinema 4D, ones that use all kinds of 3D and heavy sort of motion blur and animation properties. But this is 12K, right? Or sorry, 10K. It's 10 kilobytes. So super small, very fast to load, and very easy to work with in real time in Premiere. So again, here we go. Drag this over the top. All right, play it back. Make some noise, okay? And again, because we made that noise property editable, all right, you can see that we have that slider control there. Now, if we wanted to color this to be more representative of this Alaska landscape, although that kind of looks good, as terrible of a designer as I am. Again, we could take the eyedropper here and we could do some pale blue. And for some, we can do some slightly darker blue. And for noise, we could do some super dark blue. All right. Okay. Simple editability with our motion graphics template. All right. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to build up a lower third. The point of this is, you've got a look, you've got a brand, you've got a logo, you've got your colors, and I want this to be consistent. So we'll call this JL lower third, okay? Click OK on that. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is, actually the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that gradient bar from one of my existing templates. And you can see I've got the text of my buddy Brian O'Neill Hughes here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. And let's go ahead and paste that into here so I don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. All right. Very good. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and take our text tool once again and probably scale this down. And we're going to make some animated text. Okay. And don't worry about the positioning for right now. Jason Levine. I'll move this into frame. Again, I usually will turn on things like the title safe, action safe, just to kind of as a guide for me, because I'm so bad. Designers, I know you all have way better methods of doing all this and much more elegant ones too. Second line of text, live from the desert. All right, and maybe we'll make this text a little smaller. Second line a little bit smaller. Yes, nicer. I'm going to multi-select these, just go to my align, just make sure they're aligned to the vertical edge there. That's fine. Okay, Jason Levine live from the desert. All right, so now we're going to use, rather than animating manually, I'm going to animate using one of our animation presets. Now, how do you access those? Well, as I mentioned, you can see them here. Unfortunately, this doesn't give you a view, a display of what it's actually doing. So if you go up under animation, under browse presets, if you don't already have Bridge launched, it will launch Adobe Bridge CC 2018, which, by the way, yes, Bridge is still alive, and it was just updated in this recent release. But under text, this is where now we can actually see all the various text animations. And you can see there's just tons of them here. So as you start to click through these, now again, these are going to sort of, some of these will look very familiar. A lot of these, I guarantee, and I know for a fact, were used in television and production frequently, over the last 10, 15 years or so. I mean, you're going to look at some of these and go, oh yeah, I remember that from such and such a show. That's like Word Flash and stuff. Some of these are pretty well known. Some of these 3D ones, I mean, we see this kind of stuff all the time. Everybody who does any kind of motion graphics workflows, whether you're using us or Motion or something else, kind of has these pseudo 3D ones, again, flying down from behind the camera, flying down in random position, all these kind of, 2.5D type 3D text things. And then animate in, so again, some of these a little dated, if you, let's see, where's like spin in or fly in from bottom. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Fade up words, fade up characters, drop in characters, again, some of these, maybe not so 2017, straight by word. I mean, you've seen this, right? I mean, they still use these in commercials. You don't even have to build these anymore. They're already done for you. You can just, you can just use them however you want. All right. So you get the idea. So here's where you can preview those. Okay. So now I want to apply some of those text animations to my text here. So let's go ahead and do just that. All right. So I'm going to twirl down, animate in, and let's do I don't know, fly in from the bottom. Sure, why not? All right. And I'll add the same one, just for consistency, to the second line of text. All right. And they fly in real simply. Okay. Hit UU so I can see all the keyframes. If I want these things to be a little bit shorter, select both of these keyframes. Let's wind it back here. Okay, it flies on a little bit faster. Now that looks, again, very sort of flat because there's no motion blur. Let's go ahead and turn on motion blur for these two layers. Much nicer, okay? And if we just take it off of the background there, you'll see the motion blur a little bit better, okay? I know, you're barfing right now. This is why we have motion graphics templates in AdobeStock for me, because I never want to make these things myself. Okay, so now we have that. Cool. Now, we might want, again, a logo, right? And that logo we might want to move or bounce, or in this case, perhaps wiggle, all right? So maybe our thing is having our kind of wiggling logo. Now, the wiggle expression is probably the most common. Yes, it can be used for sort of objects and shapes to actually make them wiggle and move. Also, if anybody remembers the old animated series Dr. Katz, they referred to it as squiggle vision. It is. It almost kind of has, you know, sort of squiggly look to it, depending upon how fast you make it. Wiggle can also be used, however, the wiggle expression, on video to simulate sort of handheld stuff. So if you've got stuff that was shot like on a tripod and you wanted to give it more of that, you know, rogue handheld feel, you can use the wiggle expression to do that. So let's go ahead and grab our logo again, which I happen to have over here. And let's drag it. Let's twirl these things up again. Let's drag it on. Okay. Drag it up here. Let's take it. Let's move that down over here. And again, maybe we'll do a little opacity adjustment on this. Okay. But what I want to do specifically is I want it to be wiggling. And maybe we want it to first animate on, but wiggle while it's animating on. And maybe it flies in from the right side. So once again, with JP logo, with that layer selected, I'm going to hit P. And let's see, the text flies on. So we want the logo to be in its final position when the text is done, which would be here. So we'll set a keyframe. Let's go ahead and wind this back. And once again, we'll drag this over and we'll have it kind of fly on real quickly and ease in. All right. So, all right, no, that's way too slow. Okay. Helps to make the sound effect. If you make the sound effect and it doesn't fly in that duration, then just readjust the keyframes, right? That's pretty good. Maybe even just a tad faster. Okay, perfect. You can see it kind of like that ease in. So essential. Okay. Once again, maybe we'll add a little motion blur on that one too, just because it's flying in. So we'll give it a little bit of a trail, a little bit of a trajectory. Okay. And we want to wiggle the position. Now we could wiggle other things. We could wiggle scale as well. So here's how we set that. Let's go ahead and hold down our Option key, or again, Alt on Windows. We're going to click Position here. All right. We're going to type in wiggle, parentheses. Let's do 5 for 5 wiggles in a second, and 10 is the amount of pixels, or again, pixels in the position dimension that it'll be moving, like this. All right. Let's go ahead and fly this on, play it back. All right. Very cool. And now you see it's wiggling. Now, maybe we want the editor to be able to modify how many wiggles per second. Again, we want it to be more wiggly, more squiggly, all right? So for that, we can set up a specific slider to control that expression, which we can then add as part of the Essential Graphics panel and build that into the MOGRT, build that into the motion graphics template for the editor. They don't have to know it's an expression. They don't even care. They just want a slider to be able to modify, you know, what should I be able to do with this? Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. So let's come over to our comp panel here. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. This is just a way that I was taught, again, years ago by Angie. Let's go ahead and create a null object here. And let's go over to Effects and Presets. We're going to type slider, and you'll see up here at the top we've got a slider control. All right, as I take a sip of my coffee. Let's go ahead and grab our slider control, and we're going to drag that onto the null, and you can see it up here. Back down to our position expression, and I want the slider to control the number of wiggles per second. So that's that first numerical field. So I'm gonna click inside of here. I'm gonna leave that blank. I'm gonna erase that 5. And then I'm gonna take this thing right here, which is called the Pickwhip, the expression Pickwhip, which you can see inserts a reference to a target. And I'm going to attach that Pickwhip to the slider. Now what's awesome about that is what you'll see is that it then writes the code inside of the expression field here, inside of the expression editor, so that that slider will control that amount of wiggle. Kind of awesome, right? Really simple, really easy. So now that slider will control how much wiggle the editor can modify. Now, as I mentioned, maybe we want to do a wiggle or something on the scale as well, just to add another if we wanted to. And let's adjust. Let's go ahead and add one there. All right. And we'll do, let's do like 3, 10. Let's see how that looks. Okay. You can see it's kind of breathing right there. So again, maybe we don't even want that much. Let's do like 5. Okay. There. So now we've got our position and our scale. Okay. So once again, we want to set up another slider for that. We could add a second slider in here. Or we could do another null object. You know, maybe we'll do it on another null object just to keep it a little cleaner for you. I'm going to do that. All right. So let's make another null 3. Add the slider on that. Okay. Expression scale. Click inside here. Leave that part blank. Grab our Pickwhip. Pickwhip it to the slider. All right. And now it's in there. Okay. So now we've got our basic lower third. We've got our text animating on. Last thing, maybe we want to animate on that this whole gradient bar thing here, so it kind of slides in. So once again, we'll do like a position thing. All right. So I'll set a position there. Wind this back, and let's just go ahead and drag this off screen. I want that to really fly on kind of quickly. Yeah, nice. All right, and for that one again, I'll just do a little bit of ease in. All right. Now you see currently our thing isn't moving, it's not wiggling anymore because now we've got sliders that will control that. And these will all be part of the controls that we're going to build in the motion graphics template. So let's go ahead and do that. So back up to Essential Graphics. Let's choose the master. This one is JL lower third. And let's call this JL low 3D wig. Very descriptive names there. Okay. Set our poster frame. Solo supported properties. All right. So again, what do we want first? Source text. First line. Second line. Okay. Now, again, if we wanted at this point, we could add, change the color. Again, let's just go to animate, fill color, RGB. Let's go ahead and add that in there. And we could add, the the second line. Maybe we always want the first line to be red, but that second, first line to be white, but that second color, we want them to be able to change it. So, you know, just to show you how we can be consistent or inconsistent. Second line color. Very important to give good descriptions though, right? Okay, what else have we got? So we got the text there. Then let's set a comment. These parameters relate to the logo. All right. So we'll come up to our null objects here. So null2, and this is wiggle position. Okay, and notice you can edit a range. So again, from 0 to 100, maybe we only want them to be able to go up to 50 wiggles per second. You know, 100 is like too erratic, so you can set that here. Pretty awesome. So let's set it to, let's set it to an even number of 50, okay? Like that, 53, fine, whatever. All right, value of 53. Now that's a lot of wiggle right there. Notice, by the way, that as I'm adjusting this now, you can see exactly what it's doing, okay? And then we'll do this slider as well. So this is wiggle scale. And again, we can set our range. Let's just leave that at the default there. And then add a comment. Gradient bar parameters. Okay. And here, we'll twirl this up, twirl this up, twirl this up, twirl this up, twirl that up, and grab our opacity. Okay. Bar opacity. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and save the project here. Save as lower thirds basic dash A. Why did I save that in documents? I don't know. Save. Export motion graphics template. Perf. Jason's library. Click OK. All right. Back over to Premiere, because just like that, it's going to sync in. Let's go ahead and take this one out. Over to libraries, motion graphics templates. There it is. JL L3D wig. Now this one, it's 5 megabytes. I've got I've got a ping in there. Some other elements going on now. That gradient bar has a couple. It's a couple of different things going on there. So it's larger. Again, still synchronized very, very quickly. Go ahead and drag this down like that. Okay, play it back. Boom. And once again, look at the freaking performance. Let's go ahead and select our motion graphics template. Go up to Essential Graphics. And the first line is welcome to MOGRTs. Second line is they are truly the best thing for editors ever. Okay, and we can change the color of that. We'll make that kind of greenish. That's bad, you can't see that. Yellowish, perfect. That kind of works. Okay, now wiggle position again. Oh, and I must have hit cancel instead of accept. Okay, so my wiggle position is still going to 100. I meant to have that go to 50. But this kind of shows you, especially with the with the motion blur, when we play this back, it's really super erratic now, right? And by the way, it's having to recache those frames because it's adding in all of that additional wiggle. But you can see with all that motion blur, it actually looks kind of neat. And as I scrub through, the performance gets more and more real time, okay? So we can back off and say, no, like, 4 wiggles a second. That's all we need, okay, for position. And again, now it's just moving sort of slowly, languidly. Wiggle scale. All right. Same thing, just a little bit there. Okay, real simple, really easy. We should have done the second value for scale too, so it would have really blown up. But you get the idea, okay? And here, again, bar opacity. Maybe we want this to be a bit darker for this particular edit. Wind it back, hit play. Okay, Again, it's recaching those frames because there's new animation, okay? And as you scrub through, especially now with that engine being built directly into Premiere, look, it's caching those frames more and more and more and more. We're now back to real time. All right? And that's it. Motion graphics templates. Now, it's also worth pointing out that if you want to access them, and we'll cover this more next week, naturally, of course, you can find them directly inside the Libraries panel in PremierePro. So in Libraries, you'll see at the top here we have Search Adobe Stock. I believe you can actually just type MOGRT templates, and boom, there you go. And it's going to pull up, you know, hundreds and hundreds of templates. Again, we're seeing a lot of the premium ones here at the top. You got free as well. Oh, here, these are Valentina V. This one's Valentina V right here. These are awesome. These are like 5-in-1, I think, these transitions. You can see I've already downloaded and licensed this. Awesome, awesome. Free ones, more premium. Search on them here. Also, we could search on just something like, you know, titles. All right. And here's more title templates. And of course, you have the ability to go directly to the AdobeStock site, stock.adobe.com, where you have more filtering options. Just, you know, you can really nail down exactly what you're looking at, also based on price and things, and then license and download directly from there, free or premium, and it's entirely up to you. You know, some are free, but there are paid ones as well. Okay? And that's sort of a basic primer for getting started with motion graphics templates for logos, for branding, for lower thirds, for title sequences, really anything. And that's the key, is that pretty much anything that you can build in After Effects, just to keep this in mind, could become a template. Whether you make it editable to your editor or not, that's entirely up to you. But anything that you build in After Effects, you can save out as a MOGRT, which is pretty awesome. And as I told you, up to 1 gig in size. So even if it's got video in the background, you can make a MOGRT that has specific video and things. All of this stuff can be leveraged inside the MOGRT, and then you just choose via Essential Graphics based on the Solo supported properties what you want to make available and editable to your editors. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Really awesome to have you with me for the first installment of how to make great videos greater, or good videos greater, or how to make videos better, or how to just use the Essential Graphics panel in After Effects. And we'll see you again here next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.